So in under the sample problems, you have the PowerPoint that I'm going to deal with. It's called the eye. And under the optical illusions, you have these two links for YouTube videos. That's the wrong one. Where are my YouTube videos? There we go. This one talks about why optical illusions work, how we're tricking your brain into making the optical illusions work. And then this one has 24 different optical illusions. And I actually have some optical illusions. If you ever go to Denver, there's an optical illusion museum that's kind of is a little wild when you go into the museum. It does some weird things to your brain when you go into the museum, but does it with mirrors and looking at perspective and a few other fun things. So you do have those, and those are in the your optical illusions one that's there. So we're gonna see if I get my PowerPoint. Okay, I'm gonna stop my share. And I'm going to share, and I'm going to share my PowerPoint slides. There we go. Okay, so most of you are medical types or are headed towards veterinary medicine or doing some of the biology stuff. We're going to talk about the human eye. The animal's eyes are they have some differences in them. If you've ever looked at a goat's eye, it's got a very different type of view in it. And of course, cats have different pupils as well. So we're going to talk about this from a human perspective. So our eyeball is pretty much a liquid filled item that we use here in the back is where the light is going to be formed, and we have an optic nerve. So we do have some blind spots. We do use binocular vision because we're a predator. So we face forward so we can judge distances better. We're not a prey animal where they're trying to see full view. We can adjust our lens to do the focus. And just like in a pinhole camera, the image on our retina actually forms upside down. Our brain flips it over. So we do get the image. If I'm looking at the back of my eye, the image that's formed on the retina will be upside down. So we do have those periods. So this is looking at the differences between nearsightedness and farsightedness and what's happening. If you are nearsighted, your eyes are coming in and it's flipping and it's not reaching the back or where the retina is, whereas my lens will correct for that and position it onto my retina so that I get a clear view. Similarly, if we do it for farsightedness, it's going to focus behind our retina. So we actually have to have a lens in there to correct it so that it gets onto the retina. So that's what we're actually using it. So this also looks at our biocular vision, where we've got our different pieces so that we can focus in on things and looking at our viewing angles to be able to get that positioning that's out there. You can go on the internet. I thought this particular PowerPoint had it where I've got the pictures where you can see if you have a series of people standing, what nearsightedness looks like for people who are nearsighted and what farsightedness looks like for people who are farsighted. But this one gives you the kind of the drawing and shows it to you very similar to what we have for our pinhole cameras. Now, our brains play tricks on us, totally plays tricks on us. So a while ago, if you saw this on social media that was out there. Is the dress blue and black, or is the dress gold and white? I will tell you, I see gold and white. And basically what's happening, it's how we're picking up the background. So they tried, not everybody, because I've shown this picture now to several folks, and several folks will tell me that even when I show them the picture where you're supposed to be able to see what the dress looks like, they can't do it. But it's, again, it's how our brains are processing the information around it. There's some tennis shoes that have done the same thing. There's been a variety of items that have done it. So hopefully in this image, you can see the differences. So this image is typically the way you see the gold and white. This is kind of in between. This is the actual original picture. So some people will see this one as the gold and white. Some people will see this one as the black and blue. And here's the black and blue one over here. What I see is the cream and white, and then I see cream and white, and I finally can get to see the black and blue one here. But if you look at the shading behind the dress, this is what's tricking your brain to make that color relationship. So it is kind of very different to looking at how our brains see things and how the eye is working in conjunction with the brain. And so we all have different brains, so we don't all see the same thing, which is kind of an odd item there. So our optical illusions come into play because how we're tricking our brains. For example, you've got an optical illusion here that looks like that A and B look to be different colors. They're not. You can use a photo picker and actually get them to be and show that they're actually the same color. They aren't different, but because of how your brain is tricking and filling in the details, they look a little bit different. You see the same things with straight lines. They have the two parallel straight lines. This is a common one where I put my arrows. So I have two ends of an arrow, or I have the two back ends, and it looks like one line is longer than the other. But when you finally put a ruler next to it, they aren't. They're exactly the same. So you also get movement. That one of the 24 optical illusions will show you that depending on how the pattern is set up, your eye is going to see movement. You also will see dots, black dots onto certain things. So the way our brain works and the way the colors work really is what's creating those optical illusions. So just a little bit more about how our eyes work. We have rod and cone cells. The rod and cone cells, one is more light sensitive and one is more red-green sensitive. So depending on what we're doing to get those receptor cells in there, that's why we're going to be able to see our vision depending on our light and dark. And it's all about where's the electron. It's what we're going to do is we're going to excite an electron, and that excited electron is what's going to go in and trigger the brain to have something happen. So I've given you guys a variety of links that you can go out and play with some of these that are going in. For those that may be going into ophthalmology, you know, the shape of our lens becomes really important. As we age, our lenses become discolored. They start to show a little yellowing in the color and they dry out. That's also why you're going to get age-related vision changes, is because they're not as flexible anymore. We're not going to get them as flexible anymore. And then cataracts are building up scale on the lenses as well. So just thought we'd show some fun things there to kind of wrap it up, to know how we're actually using things. And I'll open it up for questions. And you do have this PowerPoint.